I wouldn't really say, well, here's my thing. I was in that predicament, but with a different game. I wouldn't really say I was tied into Minecraft because like I still have a pretty decent, basically I'm tied into nostalgia, which is a way broader topic than Minecraft.
Yeah.
But before I did these types of videos, I made videos on a game called Unturned. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a free to play survival game on Steam. I loved it. I fell in love with the game. And I made probably 200 videos or more on it. Now I have 1,800 hours, and I absolutely despise the game.
What
I'm
happened?
lucky.
What changed?
So the thing that changed for me was after a while, you're kind of forced into it.
Welcome everybody to the Casually Hardcore Podcast, episode 46. My name is Brian, and today I'm very happy to introduce you to a fantastic content creator. RoboKast, aka Tanner, is joining us on the podcast today. He has been putting out a lot of amazing videos, but then he's taken a mysterious month off of YouTube for some reason, so we'll have to see what's going on with him about that. Now, if you haven't been introduced to RoboKast, be sure to check out his channel. From Minecraft to classic MMOs, Tanner really taps into a whole nother level of video game nostalgia that is also very wonderfully edited, I might add. And so anyway, you tackle a wide range of gaming topics. And that is my introduction for you. I would like you to go ahead. Did I leave anything out? Did I miss anything, Tanner? Why don't you tell people where they can find you?
That's fair. All right, so you can find me on YouTube, RoboKast, RoboKast. Some people still spell it with a C, but it's okay. I'm on Instagram. I post once a year. I'm on Twitter. I tweet once every 3 months, and they're all the same @, so you could check that out. But I've been doing YouTube for about probably 4 years. I started out with like really cringe Minecraft content, like, you know, I don't
Like
even want to get into that right now. Oh yeah, like we all did, and then over time, I've kind of just like focused my content on the topic of nostalgia. So old games. Yeah, it's pretty much all old games. I was going to say movies, but I don't really do movies. It's basically like old games that we all played growing up. I do retrospectives on why they were so great, why some of them weren't so great, and like what they were actually like for people who can't play them.
That's important work, because that's one of the things about the digital age that we're in. It always kind of feels like I'm just waiting for that, like the ability to play a game that I can no longer play. In fact, I'm looking around my office here because my mom just dropped off like a bunch of NES games. So I got like all the old Dragon Quest, aka Warrior games, the Mario games. I have no way to play them, except for at least now the Switch is finally starting to come around. But it's still like, yeah, it's a waiting process. So guys, we're going to talk, obviously Casually Hardcore is a creator-focused conversation podcast. In this, we're going to be talking about what we're playing, and then we're going to be talking about how nostalgia is one hell of a drug with the master of nostalgia himself. So it should be a fun and interesting show. If you guys are new to the channel, be sure to hit that subscribe button. If you missed our last podcast, we had Callie from actually a former Blizzard employee talking about kind of behind the scenes what it's like at Blizzard, especially after last year's BlizzCon and the Diablo Immortal announcement. We got to do that on site, and so that podcast is live now. You can go check that out at any time, and we'd love to know what you think about the show as well. We also want to thank our partnership with Exit Lag. You guys can check out the link in the description below for 3 free days and save 20% if you use the code DOWORK at checkout. But again, check out the 3 days if you're playing any of these games that, of course, require a connection to a server somewhere in the world, and you're having some problems with that. Check out Exit Lag, see if it can help reduce and overall improve your performance and experience overall. And now that we've concluded the business,
Thank God I could finally cough. I had to cough the whole time.
It's like, oh God, is he going to end? Never. This is the longest intro. We're known for that. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk about what we're playing. Obviously, it's gaming season right now. Tanner, you said that you pretty much disappeared from YouTube. You're working on a Minecraft series, if you guys haven't checked that out. Are you actually getting to play games right now, or are you just literally in the weeds?
So I've been on the college grind. It's stressful, but obviously I got to kind of relax every once in a while. So I've been pretty heavy into Outer Worlds. Oh. I don't know if you guys have played it. Have any
I
of you played it?
downloaded it, and then we went to BlizzCon. So
Okay, dude, it's good. It's good. It major like New Vegas vibes. A lot of people are like, "Oh, it's just a reskin New Vegas," but is that a bad thing?
is it a bad thing?
I
Chris?
don't think so. I think they're finally. What's exciting about it is that they're no longer tying themselves to Bethesda. They're tying themselves
One
to their own
IP.
IP. And so the problem with wanting like a New Vegas is the next Vegas from Bethesda, if they keep up the trend they're doing, might not be good.
Oh yeah.
And so seeing them able to tie it to their own IP and the idea that they're going to expand on this universe is really exciting.
Especially with the success of it. Like when you go look at just the reception from the users and the critics, and then just the fact that it's in Game Pass. Like, are you a Game Pass subscriber, or did you actually straight up buy it?
So I am a Game Pass subscriber, but I bought it on PS4 just because like I get criticized a lot for this, but for some reason, if I'm playing a single player like casual game, I would rather play on console, which I know it seems backwards, but
No, I'm hands down with you, man. Like
Really?
I'm a console gamer just for the convenience alone. Now
Yeah,
I play a lot
it's
of
so
games
easy,
on PC. Yeah, hands down. So why? Do you have an Xbox, or is it just PlayStation 4, PC 4?
just PS4. I had an Xbox, but honestly, like there was no reason to keep it. Like the exclusives aren't that good.
And they're
Like
apparently on PS4.
I know, and half the exclusives are on PC with Game Pass, so like there's really no reason to have an Xbox One.
hmm
And like even the Scarlet that's coming out, I don't even know if I'm gonna get that. Like Halo Infinite looks awesome,
Yeah.
but is it worth buying a whole console for?
It really depends, I guess, on your passion for Halo. Like Chris and I, we play Halo like every Halo 5 right now every week, so it literally could be an easy purchase for us
Yeah.
in that regards. However, if what Microsoft's doing with Xbox and PC, like if they have it on PC, or if with xCloud, whatever that's coming out down the pipe, like if that ends up being like, well, I mean, I could spend, I'm assuming $500, $600 on a new
Yeah.
console, or I could play that game already in the cloud, because we been cloud gaming since the summer, and it's no lag. Like it's an incredible experience if you have the internet bandwidth to support it. So it's like it isn't going to be an interesting proposition overall to see what happens with that in its regards. So you've been playing the Outer Worlds. Anything else?
Outer Worlds is like number one right now. And then really everything else isn't really anything new. I haven't played the new COD at all, which I'll get around to it eventually, but I haven't played that yet. And I haven't played any of the like hyped new releases. So it's literally been a mix of Outer Worlds and the stuff I already played, like Factorio, Minecraft, what else? CSGO, just stuff I've been playing for years.
No, so that's going to be kind of the big hitting topic of this, because a lot of us, Chris and I were sitting down the other day, and we thought this would be perfect to talk with you about, because it's like, wait, am I actually playing any new games, or am I still playing games from last decade? Like,
Exactly.
And it's interesting to see, because like I'm not playing the original Mario World. Like this is something that's probably like a new phenomenon for the technology with the digital age, with games as a service games, that it's like, yeah, they kind of hook you in for the long term. And even if you take breaks, even if like they have a bad update, like at some point, like if they patch it, you might be like, oh, I'll go check out the new update, and you might end up getting hooked overall with it. So it's really fascinating to see how that plays out. Chris, what are you playing?
I'm obviously it's 5.1 for 14, so it's time to come back around and at least clear all that content. And then usually I stick around a little bit longer, and then I kind of slowly slip off to try other things. I was really excited about the Diablo 4 announcement. I know it's a couple years away, but like some part of me is itching to maybe get Diablo 3 updated.
Oh man,
because I think there's a new season coming up.
Yeah.
Just to at least touch that, and I don't know, get back into maybe some classic. I was really impressed with BlizzCon in general. So Blizzard games had kind of slipped off my radar, and I was really impressed with the weekend. So I'll probably dive back into some of that. And then I got the new Call of Duty installed. I've got Outer Lands installed, and I was just waiting to get back from BlizzCon to dive into those head first and see what they're all about.
What's really interesting, for those who don't know, because Chris and I really haven't talked about it, I mean, much. We put out a video, but it's a long video. I'm getting all kinds of fun notifications, despite muting. Is that we went and played Diablo 4 for like an hour, and they got to play it a couple times. And then we went and we're like looking at Diablo 3, because people were playing it back at the house, and it's like Kids Candyland versus like this dark, world of like, no hope and more. And it was just like, goodness gracious, like I was really blown away and surprised overall by.
I think of it as a dark franchise, like graphically. I think of it as dark, but it wasn't. Diablo 3 looks so bright. I mean, it seriously looks like Minecraft versus Dark Souls when you played Diablo 4 and Diablo 3 in the same day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, there's just this total difference. Pretty stark.
Yeah. So
what do you play, Brian?
Oh, okay, yeah. So good question. I finished, coming back because we weren't really able to play games for a good week. Like, we were busy out at BlizzCon. So for me, I caught up and finished the 5.1 story. So that was really, really exciting. Lots of questions. Like that patch leaves me like I finished it and I go, what the heck just happened? Like, is that who I think it is? Or just lots of speculation, lots of like excitement, because then I was like, I can't wait to see where they go with it. Obviously, been following that story for a very long time, so any kind of story updates are exciting. Beyond that, then jumped into some Destiny 2 last night, had a blast playing with the community, and then Phantasy Star Online 2 last night was getting patched, so I wasn't able to play that, but I played that earlier today. I'm working on my sub job quest for Phantasy Star Online 2 and just diving into it. And like I went in a couple weeks ago, played all the updates for Anthem because they had the 5.1 update, put out a review on that, and that is getting like crazy numbers of views. Totally surprised me. And it's interesting, the comments that come in. Tanner, you're a fellow YouTuber, so like, YouTube comments, like there are categories.
They're the best and the worst thing ever at the same time.
Can wreck your day and make your day at the same time. And especially on the same video. Like, do you ever get it to where it's like you have one person accusing you of A and then another person accusing you of B, and they're completely opposite? So it's like,
I know,
you
it's
love
the best
pizza,
thing ever.
and I can tell you hate pizza, and like wait a minute, like how did we get to this? Like how did two people draw completely different conclusions
at the same time?
At the same time, like it's like the comments are like 10 seconds away from each other, and so then I always wonder, like. We've always kind of talked about it. They have added new filters to the YouTube comment section. Have you played around with the filters at all?
I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh, dude, let me blow your mind. In the new comments, you can say who you haven't responded to, who's subscribed to you, who's not subscribed to you, who's a member for your channel, who's not a member, and you got this option, so you can kind of really structure your comments. And the one thing that they haven't added, but it's actually one of the number one requested features, is can I get a percentage watched of the video?
Dude!
And
wow, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Chris and I have talked. It's like if I could cut out if you haven't watched the first 10%, like the first 30 seconds of this video,
just like 18 seconds. Like I'm not asking for something crazy.
Yeah, I just need to know, like, seconds. You clearly, because like usually, because like, do you ever get accused of clickbaiting?
Sort of. I basically get accused of clickbaiting if somebody doesn't like the outcome. Like if they're like, "Oh, dude, that game didn't die. Like I still play it," then it's.
Oh yeah. Okay. So
it's clickbait. Yeah.
It's essentially the common clickbait kind of term, because typically if it's a charged topic, if it's a hot topic, like it's like I've got a strong feeling about X, I'm going to express it, and if you don't agree, people will call that clickbait. But we address it like in the first 15 seconds. We don't sit here and say at the end of the video, and that's why, the title of the video. Like, no, we're talking about this. And it's the first, and that's why it's like, Chris is right. Like if I could see if somebody has at least watched like 18 seconds, 30 seconds,
then they'll know if you got to that point.
Right.
Or not.
Then I know that I can.
Long video. I'm not asking you to watch the whole thing.
Dude, and honestly, like clickbait isn't a bad thing as long as you deliver on what you say you're going to do.
Well, that's
like,
the whole purpose.
If it's way off and you're like, I'm gonna talk about this, but you're like over here and not even talking about that. Well, then it's clickbait. But like, the whole point of YouTube is to get people to click your videos and share what you have to say. So like, there's nothing wrong with kind of like putting it on a nice pillow and being like, hey.
APB is not a game I had ever heard of. All that news totally blew by me in the early 2000s. Like that's never a game I followed. You put out a video that says that it lost $100 million, and I was like, well, I'll watch that. And so,
it worked.
And sure, and it legitimately did. It legitimately had $100 million invested in it.
Yeah.
And it is legitimately no longer a thing. That's just gone. Now, they may have made some portion of that back, so maybe they didn't lose the whole $100 million, but in general, your title rings true. They invested it in something that they hoped would have the same kind of turnaround and profit that like a Grand Theft Auto did, and it just didn't.
It could have, but they didn't deliver that one.
Yes, and so like, and that video delivered on what I expected. Like it's like, okay, I wanted to know where'd the 100 million come from, and why did they not make it back? It's like, okay, I got that answered. 100, they would have been way better off just keeping their money. And
yeah. Well, the thing is, like, I don't think they really knew what people wanted. There's like, okay, we know what we want, and we're just gonna throw these things together, even though they don't really like match up. And maybe somebody will like one of those things. Like I feel like that's a common problem these days.
I like glitching
game developers. Yeah, I like flying around the map and hacking without even actually hacking.
I do have a question for Chris before we actually dive into nostalgia and the main topic for the podcast. Where's your jerk shirt? That seemed to be very popular in our last podcast.
So the group that I and now we go to BlizzCon with, Brian and I, is actually it's what was the Elitist Jerks. So way back in the day, there was the Elitist Jerks forums for WoW. They have since renamed themselves the Abandoned Jerks. There is still an Elitist Jerks guild in place, but the Abandoned Jerks sums up more of the community, because many of them no longer play WoW, or they play WoW at a much different level. They play more casually or intermittent. And so that's the group we go out there with, and there's jerk shirts every year, and that way we can all see each other. And there's some years there's like a jerk picture and we're all together. And so the house I stayed in last year, so that we would all have matching shirts, found this shirt on Teespring that said "What's up, jerks?" and they were like, "That's perfect." So we all ordered a copy. So I'm sure it may still be out there on Teespring. That's all it is. But I was excited to see. I've worn it a ton on the channel, but you guys only ever see me from like here up, so you've never seen the bottom half. And so knowing that had that response, I definitely think that somebody put a comment up that said all my opinion videos, since like they seem to split the room, like if you go look at likes, dislikes, some of them are 50-50.
It's a good target
because I
to
tend
hit,
to take a
honestly.
controversial stance. Then they've said I should start introing those videos, "What's up, jerks?" And I'm not totally opposed to the idea. I assume that people would vote about 50-50 if that's a good idea. So that's where that shirt came from. If it's really that popular, we could probably throw up a version on our store, change it up a little, see if we can kind of come up with a more work to game font and stuff, and lean into that. But yeah, that's all it is.
Merch. Anyway,
self plug.
Gotta keep doing that side hustle. The guys, let's talk about nostalgia. It's a hell of a drug. It is one of the things I was so happy to see Mario brought to the phone, because I was like, Nintendo's selling to an older audience, and no kids are playing Mario games because they're not on their phones. Like when I go look around,
Fortnite only.
Fortnite, Minecraft, and more. And so that's actually one of the things that I really enjoy about your channel, Tanner. And I want to first start because obviously Minecraft is this interesting topic. A, it was huge. B, it's back. And
yeah, I know.
It's bigger than ever. Like, it's like, okay. And so ultimately, at first, to start off, like what, and Chris is also a huge Minecraft player. I'm a Minecraft virgin. I've never played the game. I know. And so like
in 2019, is that possible?
It's very possible. And ultimately, I own it.
I own multiple copies.
I own it because I bought PCs. I got it with an Xbox. I own the game, and I've never run it. So ultimately, I was like, I'm sitting here like, how can I somewhat like tap into these Minecraft numbers and be like, here's Brian that never played it. So we'll talk after this. But what's your history with Minecraft and MMOs in general?
So like, I'll start with my history with gaming. I'm not going to make this a whole like 30-minute spiel, but I started with the PS1 and the PS2. I didn't have anything before that, and that kind of got me into like casual gaming. So on the PS1, a couple titles that stood out, Crash Bandicoot. Yeah. And the only other one that really stood out to me, which I don't know if anybody even knows what this is, but it was called Tiny Tank.
I've heard.
And it was this. I didn't know how popular it was or whatever, but that was like my game for like 2 years. I loved it. And then I moved on to the PS2, played a lot of Spyro, Ratchet and Clank, GTA, and my favorite game on the PS2 is actually called Mercenaries 2. Don't know if anybody's ever played that. Fun game. But then from there is when I really got into like more serious gaming. So I got into PC. I also had a 360, but same thing, just casual. But I got into PC in like 2010, made my very own Minecraft server and made a series on it on my channel, and then used the server to promote the channel. So it's kind of like self-advertising. It worked pretty well. I gained my first like 100 subscribers thought I was famous. It was crazy. And then from there, like basically Minecraft is what started my channel, just like many other people these days. So it holds a special place in my heart. Like it's the reason that I'm doing this today. And I look at it that way and I just think it's amazing. From there, I went into some like other MMOs. Like I was pretty young, so like more casual ones, like, you know, like kids MMOs, like Club Penguin and like all the stuff kids played in like 2010. And then, you know, as time's gone on, I've gotten more serious with gaming, and that's where I am today.
Chris, how about your history?
So I played Minecraft starting in, I guess, like the alpha or the beta.
Yeah.
It was €5. That was the only way to get it.
I remember
You
that.
had to buy it in euro, and it was, and so I remember like trying to decide like am I going to get charged like a bank fee for that, because that was a lot of money to me in college, and so I remember playing it, and it was so early on there was almost nothing you could do in game. There was just very little. I think you've even made a video talking about how glitchy mobs were, and how trying to build anything was just so hard.
Trying to wrangle those cows.
Scale. It was just almost impossible. But there also weren't a lot of the modern mechanics. Like you didn't run into a lot of the things that you run into now. And I played it off and on. And around the same time, I played Dwarf Fortress. And so I played some other kind of punishing ways to kind of explore a sandbox. And so it just never really like super held my attention. I would play it for a couple nights with a friend and then forget about it. And I guess a few years went by and a modded community popped up. And when the modded community popped up, that is when I became like hugely interested in Minecraft. And so I have played through dozens of mod packs, and you can just build things of massive scales. And these mods explore everything from like factory setups to like Pokemon catching mechanics to crazy hunger mechanics. And so they just make the game take on like either a little bit of RimWorld or a little bit of Factorio or a little bit of Pokemon or a little bit of, you know, like you're exploring like witchcraft and making all these different spells. And so like the mod packs is really, and it's a totally different game. Like when you go look at YouTube channels, a Minecraft modded experience and a vanilla Minecraft experience are two totally different experiences. They are almost totally different games. And so that's always been what keeps me coming back, is like I have some friends that play it from time to time. They'll say, we're spinning up a server. This is the mod pack we're playing. We used to play like competitive builds. So like you would all be teleported to a place that was like 9 billion blocks from spawn, and you would all build, and then you would like check in on each other and be who could get the furthest. And then as we've gotten older and some of them have kids and things like that, we started building in teams where it was like 2 to 4 people, because sometimes somebody can't play very much, and that way they're still kind of getting to keep up. And then now we've gotten to the point where we build like one big mega base, so that some of the really grindy things in a mod pack, like, you know, some specific type of furnace or whatever you have to build, we can all share, because they can take hours and hours and hours to build this one furnace. And so the idea that we all had to build our own furnace just felt like a waste of effort. So that's been my Minecraft story. It's still weird to me that Brian's never played it, and I think it's
Brian, you're missing out, man.
Series teaching you Minecraft.
I need to, we need to figure out how I could, because like if I can turn it into content. Okay,
I have an idea. It's a great idea.
Okay,
Brian, we're on to something, or you're on to. Somebody here is on.
I've specifically avoided playing Minecraft in the off chance that I became a YouTuber, and in the off chance that it would come and be like one of the most popular games.
Dude, I'm telling you, like I don't know what to title it, but like basically, a dude playing a dude playing Minecraft for the first time of his life in 2019. Like rephrase, makes a great series.
Yeah, it's
like exploring playing Minecraft. My first time playing Minecraft is in 2020. Period. There's your title. Make that a series.
And it's true, so it's not clickbait. There we go.
Yeah, it's true. That'd be interesting, because like the reason PewDiePie's Minecraft series was so popular, and you know that's what brought his channel to like peaks above what it was, is because Minecraft is so old at this point, and so many people have played it that it's like it's just there, right? Mm-hmm. So think about like the first time you play a game compared to the 100th time you play a game. PewDiePie comes in here with this like boring community that's like, oh, welcome to part 7,555 of my Let's Play series.
All the 9-year-olds, please. Because I mean, I'm not saying no. I'm saying yeah.
No, so that's the case. Everybody has these long series, have been playing for years. PewDiePie comes in and he's like, oh, look, a horse. And he's like playing like it's his first time ever playing the game, because he didn't really play it before. And that's what made it so popular. Like when you I've learned to realize this the older I've gotten, but nothing beats playing a game for the first time, ever. Because you just come in with this sense of like mystery and you don't know what's going on, and then like by the time you're speed running Dark Souls for the 50th time, it's like, okay, just going through the motions.
Yeah.
But it'd be a fresh perspective, honestly.
We'll see.
176 million copies sold and 200 million users for the free Chinese release. It's had a little bit of an impact.
Yeah, sounds like
that's insane.
Oh man, and how much should Microsoft buy them for? Like just $1 billion, or something?
Dude, Notch is worth $1.5 billion.
Good night.
I'm pretty sure I'm actually saw this when I was researching a video I'm working on right now.
Mm-hmm.
And I have the page pulled up right here, actually.
It's good news for your community. He's still making videos, y'all.
Dude, he sold Minecraft to Microsoft for $2.5 billion in cash.
2.5 in cash, and he's worth 1.5. Did he buy an island? Did he build his own real life Minecraft?
He says he spends all of his money traveling and programming.
Yeah. Traveling and programming. Man, that's got to be
hit that pretty hard.
Oh,
I'm sure they were like, oh, that's capital gains. That's only 20%. That's a nice low tax rate. It's like, well, that's 20% of a very large number.
Yeah,
that's
boom,
insane,
baby.
Man.
So, why do you guys think Minecraft keeps coming back? Why do you think it's retained its popularity despite being an older game, despite being numerous? I mean, it is massive. It is a massive game. Why?
Honestly, I would say because like it's one of the only games that you can truly create your own experience, like 100%. Like most games have at least some part of it that's linear that you can't change, but you could literally change everything about Minecraft. And it's not like the game itself either. I would say it's like the experiences you can create within the game. Like some of the best fun I ever had playing Minecraft was when me and my friends created like a super flat world. We went creative, we built bases, went back to survival, and then we like stocked up our bases and then had a war like between our bases, like a siege thing.
Can you switch between survival level and like note that I have no concept of what, like, hey, let me talk about these Minecraft things. I have no knowledge of it. That's awesome, because like one of the things,
you could do anything.
Why have I not played this game?
Yeah, one of the servers that I didn't have a lot of time to play, but I wanted to play with the guys, and they were all going to play a ton. We just put me in creative and them all in survival, and I built the base. And so they were playing modded Minecraft and stuff, and they would say, hey, like we need
isn't that cheating?
That put X in. And so I would just go build, but like it was in modded, so there's these crazy materials, and then they had to come up with all the materials for like the different mod pack items. So they were playing through the mod pack where they have to do these crazy grinds, because the mod packs will require like 10 million diamonds. And so, but you have these big quarries that are like mining diamonds, and you have to generate power to power the quarries. And so they were generating all the items, and I was just creating like
you were creating the
buildings
shell
and roads and just a shell. And so you can do a lot. I would say that to expand on that, one of the things that's unique about Minecraft is the appeal that it can have to hardcore gamers, because they can go into modded or crazy like vanilla challenge type things, like we're gonna limit ourselves to this, or like redstone building and things like that, and then it still has an appeal to like a very young audience. So like my nephews and nieces, their first video game ever, Minecraft, and I think that's a fairly common story. So the fact that it can like hit all age gaps, we talk about how like Nintendo's group seems to be aging, so that means that their player base is getting like smaller and smaller if they don't do a good job bringing in new players. Well, Minecraft has both. They have the people who can put in crazy hours, and YouTubers and all these great things, because content creators tend to be a little bit older. And then you have, you have all the player base that can really tackle brand new gamers. And like parents can kind of trust them to play Minecraft, as opposed to, a lot of Xbox and PS4 games. Like, is this safe for my kids? Like, I don't even know.
I mean, they also use it in like educational standpoints. Like there's a whole thing I discovered in a wormhole called like, I don't remember what it's called, but it's like Minecraft Education or something. And Mojang or Microsoft or whoever actually creates like these basically levels that teach kids things like astronomy or, like geography.
I heard
and then
programming as well.
Yeah, like there's a lot you can do with it.
The
Computer Craft is an entire mod based on programming.
So I'm gonna add a question into this though, because from a content creation perspective, we've heard stories about people who are married to Minecraft or any game, and ultimately have this level of resentment. Their success in their career is tied into it, but their joy of it, because it's now the 1 billionth Minecraft video they've made, or X game. Like, does that concern you as a creator that is tied into it, or?
I wouldn't really say, well, here's my thing. I was in that predicament, but with a different game. I wouldn't really say I was tied into Minecraft, because like I still have a pretty decent, basically I'm tied into nostalgia, which is a way broader topic than Minecraft.
Yeah.
But before I did these types of videos, I made videos on a game called Unturned. I don't know if you've ever heard of it. It's a free-to-play survival game on Steam. I loved it. I fell in love with the game. And I made probably 200 videos or more on it. Now I have 1,800 hours, and I absolutely despise the game.
What happened?
I'm lucky.
What changed?
So the thing that changed for me was, after a while, you're kind of forced into it. Like, for a little bit, it's like, oh, I love this new series. Me personally, I kind of found like a niche, because like a lot of people didn't make videos on it, which is how I got my first 100K. But by the time I'm at 100K, the only reason those people are there is to watch Unturned videos. I don't really enjoy the game anymore, but if I post anything else, nobody watches it. I'm lucky that I got out of that, but there are a lot of people who have been trapped in like a specific niche for whatever game they want to play, and then they can't even get out of it. Like, it kind of loses its charm over time. You know what I'm saying? Like, well, with 1,000 hours,
like, anything you do for that long, and then over and over again, it's like, okay, this is not the same level. Like when you said earlier, the most like incredible experience is usually that first time stepping into the game. Everything's new, nothing is known. But when you know how everything's made, it can lose its charm, and it can be like frustrating, because you would be like, oh, it'd be great if it did X, Y, or Z. So how do you break out of that cycle?
Like in general, or how did I break out of it?
Yeah, I think how did you? And then, well, I mean, because ultimately, that's one of the challenges that any gaming content creator, struggles with at some point in their YouTube career, for lack of a better term.
So honestly, dude, I don't even know. I got lucky. I really did. Because what happened is, so I think actually I kind of do know what it was. I made all these videos on Unturned. And then I started to realize all the problems that the game has. Because when you understand the game with that much, like that deep of a level, you're going to realize what problems it has. Yeah. So I made a video called The Problem with Unturned. And it was kind of like my transition into what I do now. And people saw that and they're like, okay, it's an Unturned video, so I'll watch it. But I kind of like this style that he's going for here. So then I tried it again with Rust, because I was big into Rust as well. I made a video called Rust Has Lost Its Charm. I talk about how Rust used to be like a super... have you guys ever played Rust?
Yeah.
I have.
Okay.
Chris plays more games than me.
Rust, Ark Survival.
Chris, did you ever play back in Legacy? Like the old...
No, I got in a little later.
Okay. See, I played in Legacy.
Because the Let's Plays just got to be too much of what I was watching to not try it.
Yeah, I feel that. So like I made the second video called Rust Has Lost Its Charm, and it talks about how the transition from Legacy to today has created like the most toxic community I've ever met in my life, which is toxic in a good way, because that's what's fun about the game.
It's a lot of griefing.
Yeah, but like Rust used to be a charming little game where like people were friendly and like it was a great community. The game got bigger. It's a better game, but it did kind of lose its charm. So that was my second video, and then from there I kind of got out of that niche because people started to like those.
That's interesting to kind of see how that transitions. Some YouTubers seem to be able to do it and some don't. Some games seem to be able to do it and some don't. You can't just keep making the same content over and over. It works once or twice. You see it in MMOs where they'll have an expansion that just repeats the previous expansion, which is what people want. But at some point they have to find a way to add something new to the game, or people are going to get bored of it, and they're not. It's going to happen all at once. They're not going to get bored slowly. They're going to get bored just like you. They're going to cross some threshold, and they're going to look up and go, I think I hate this. And and they're never going to want to touch it again. And so you want to transition before then, or you end up kind of with a game failing later, which is just as hurtful as a game failing right out of the box. And so based on that, like, what do you think makes a game fail, either at launch or later down the road?
I mean, I guess it kind of depends on the situation. But I feel like a lot of the time it's a disconnect between the developers and the player base. So if a game fails long term, it's almost always because of a different reason. But if it fails like off the bat or after like like a company buys out another company. Like for example, Ace of Spades. It was a game that was made by a single developer. His name was Ben Axoy. Great game, got over 2.5 million active players. Was bought out by Jagex. Is that how you say it? Jagex, the RuneScape people.
We'll take it.
I don't know if it's Jagex or
know.
Jagex, but the people who made RuneScape, big company, they bought out Ace of Spades, had a complete disconnect between what the players wanted and what they wanted, and absolutely ruined the game because of it. I'm actually working on a video for that right now.
Oh man, I'm excited. More videos to come. Do you feel like Minecraft and their development studio has a really good connection with the Minecraft community?
Yeah, I'd say so. But also, like with a community that big, no matter what you do, you're still going to please someone.
Oh yeah.
And the other people will probably end up getting over it because it's that minuscule change doesn't really affect this much of the game that's already there, for the most part.
So they've done a good job supporting the modded community and the like different play styles. You talk about like education and stuff like that as well. So when they change something to the base game, I think out of that 176 million copies sold, the base game is only 30 million of them. So there's so many versions of Minecraft out there now where you have like educational players and you have modded players and you have hardcore players and you have players that play on difficulties other than easy. So like I think it's really, they could go through and say, hey, in hard mode, we're going to make skeletons one-shot you.
Yeah.
And that only affects like this many of the players. And so even if those players are pissed off, everybody who doesn't play hard vanilla survival is not affected.
What do you guys think about the upcoming Minecraft Dungeons? It's basically Minecraft Diablo Edition that they announced this last year at E3.
I don't really know anything about it, to be honest. I saw the I was at E3 this year, and I saw like one person who was excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like it's kind of unnecessary. It's kind of milking the name Minecraft, similar to how Minecraft Story Mode did. But like, why is that a thing, bro? It's like, oh, we're gonna create a story with characters who have no story. Whoa. Like, but I don't really get the point of dungeons. I'm not hating on it, but I just feel like it's kind of unnecessary. But again, I also haven't researched it, so.
No, you're good. I just remember seeing it. I was like, oh, okay, like that seems interesting. You know, it might be able to connect in and give people more of an objective style RPG. Chris, what are your thoughts?
I mean, so when we talk about Diablo Immortal, NetEase already has games like Diablo Immortal on the market, but they're not a Diablo skin. And so the talents don't work exactly the same way, and the appearance doesn't look like a Diablo game. And so it will market to a different group. So I haven't seen much about this, but the idea that Minecraft comes in and puts their name and their branding on Legos, story mode type games, choose your own adventure, TV series, like all of these things, like it 100% makes sense. You didn't buy it for $1 billion to put it on a shelf and lock it away.
People will still play it no matter what it is.
And it doesn't hurt the core game.
What
if you don't like it, don't play it. But they're going to go make money.
What if? Let's I'm just going to toss out speculation and
conspiracy theory.
Conspiracy theory. Oh, that'd be good. That'd be great for the channel. Any tags that we've got? PewDiePie. Like,
only in the thumbnail. You don't want it in the tags. That's an automatic demonetizer.
Oh, yeah. PewDiePie dead. And the video's like Minecraft Dungeons announcement trailer.
What if like you were able to design dungeons for the Minecraft Dungeons within your world of Minecraft? Like if you
would be dope.
See, that's what I'm saying. Like when you start talking about like what is possible from a visual,
everything is possible.
Everything is possible, man. And so how, like for me, that would be epic. Like if all of a sudden it's like, cool, you did your run through of the ones that we've designed, and it's like, oh, connect into your friend's server, and you can run around whatever, or they could design specific things for that. That all of a sudden takes it to a whole new level of creative, because essentially one of the things that like I'm hearing from both of you guys,
how does this not exist already?
Right.
I know. I think we're onto something.
Like so you ran a like a PvE MMO style server, didn't you?
Me?
Is that another one? Yeah.
Oh.
The ones you ran?
Well, I ran like a very basic server. It was kind of like survival with towns, but I have a server now that I've been spending like the last month or two on, and it's a lot more like. Oh, I'm getting off topic. What was your question?
No. I'm just wondering, like, how does this not already exist? Because like you're already familiar with like.
I mean, honestly, it may already exist.
And, like Hunger Games. There's already really cool like basic game types that have been put out by people. It's a clever idea, and the fact that I mean, that's where Dota came from, right? Like MOBAs came from a Warcraft 3 custom game. So it was made by somebody who, and they tried to release their own later, and it didn't make any money. So like the people who gave us MOBAs as a genre didn't make money off of this. Like,
yeah, I feel like there's a lot more that you just don't find, honestly. Like,
and with Heroes of the Storm not ever hitting the critical mass of Dota or League of Legends, Blizzard didn't really get to make as much money off it either. So the platform and the original creators really didn't end up getting to be the ultimate winners. I think they were involved in the launch of maybe Dota, but it wasn't not to the degree of like what League of Legends is making. They're making crazy money.
It's just so fascinating. So anyway, one of the questions we talked about, we went on to a wonderful Minecraft and Dungeons perspective. The question, though, I would like to know, though, from a nostalgia perspective, what game would you like to see that doesn't exist now brought back into the 2020s?
Well, okay, I have one that kind of does exist now, but not really.
Yeah, answer it.
Right away, my answer is the Skate franchise. But there is a game called Session that's being worked on. Yeah. Some people are comparing it to Skate 4, but realistically, it's not. That's why I'm kind of like, can't really.
I loved the skating games. Like,
oh my God, they're so good.
And etc. And it eventually got to a point where they released a version of Tony Hawk because it was coming back, and it was so bad. Like,
it's probably 5.
Yeah, and it was like, what happened? Like, you go play 4, and it's complete, and it's got the fun parks and more. And I just wondered what happened. Do you have a video about that? Like, what happened to that series? Is it up?
It was like it was my first video that took off, actually.
I hadn't seen that one yet.
Why skateboarding games died.
Oh man, I'm gonna have to go. Yeah, I'm gonna go watch that after this because I was just like, goodness gracious. I remember spending tons of time in those games.
So good. I don't think Tony Hawk will ever be coming back because Tony Hawk's old. Like, especially
this is what happens to humans,
Well, I mean, like, especially for like an extreme sports athlete, like he still has that. There's a video.
Does stuff.
I know. I saw a video where he did like 40 tricks for his 40th birthday or something. And but anyways, I don't think Tony Hawk will come back. They had a lot of licensing issues.
Yeah, with the music too.
And plus, Neversoft isn't around anymore, which was like the masterminds behind Guitar Hero, behind the whole Tony Hawk series. I think they were behind a lot of the like other extreme sports games. But Skate, though, if Session does good, I could easily see Skate 4 becoming a thing.
Oh yeah, it's all about momentum and success. If all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, you sold 500 million copies of that game. Wait a minute, like why are we just letting that that market die? That's the
people want Skate 4 too.
The question is it enough? Is it enough?
Let me show you. I don't know if you'll be able to tell this. All right, if you go on EA's Instagram, I don't think you'll be able to tell this, but if you go on EA's Instagram and you scroll through their comments, yeah, you won't be able to tell. Anyways, literally on every post, there are thousands of comments that just say Skate 4, Skate 4, Skate 4, Skate 4. That's all they say. Mm-hmm. Like, I'd recommend looking at it if you could.
Okay, I'll see.
It's actually insane.
If those did translate though into sales, then it would make sense. Like one of the things we were out there, and when we were talking with Callie about it, she was saying, as much as people wanted StarCraft 3, like there really isn't that market. It's not what it used to be. It's the market has shifted into these other things, and it usually takes. I think those could come back. It just has to find it has to appease the fan base, but it also has to find a new audience. And that's the thing. It's like if you're not adding in players to this core gameplay, then it's not going to be something that like it's just you're creating a game for a nostalgia perspective, and you're selling it to an aging demographic, and so how do you get that stuff? So it'll be interesting to see if from a skating perspective, if that game is successful, if there is an audience for it, because if there's not, then like just like there are some franchises that I would love to see come back, they're probably just not going to come back because it's like we could sell this game to 10 people, or we can make this other kind of game that's real popular, people are buying, and sell to 1 million people. Like, what do we spend our time on?
Yeah. See, I don't understand why Call of Duty still exists. Like, I mean, it's a.
I love this guy.
$1 billion a year.
I love this guy because it's like why do people keep buying it?
Like, I get it. It's a great thing. It's a great formula. But like, if people got tired of the Skate formula, or they got tired of other formula that's the same. Like Assassin's Creed got stale, everything got stale, but yet COD is just like new game, every year.
Well,
Or
it feels
every
like
So
2
of the
years.
ones you listed, the big difference is there's something easy to tap into where it's like, I beat that other player, like objectively in that
Sure.
moment. And so like single player games never have the lifespan of a game that lets me beat other players.
That is true. I didn't think
Um,
about that.
Yeah, I've been
So-
working on a project. I'm not like, hyping it up yet because it's still a while away, but I've been tracking data like on Mixer, YouTube, and Twitch across a wide selection of games, and I've also included some single player games in this data, just aggregate, and I'm just tracking the data, and it's to see the fall off of single player games, because it's some, like, hey, it's, people are like, oh, single player games do great, like, yeah, but in an earned media perspective, and it's too big of a data thing to go and also like grab like the number of YouTube videos. So we're just kind of focusing in on live numbers. Like, okay, like yeah, they do great for a week, and then everybody moves on or moves back to their game as a service game multiplayer game. The thing that frustrates me, kind of tapping into your why does Call of Duty exist? The thing that frustrates me is that I think Activision really takes advantage and does a disservice to the community because they know the community will buy it. Activision says, we're not going to change until we need a change. But if nobody went out and bought this version of Call of Duty, I would think that the next version of Call of Duty would ultimately be a games as a service game, which it really should be. And then you could have the different universes, right? Like if I buy a skin, which I don't do that, but like a player who goes and purchases money after market from the base game, that purchase doesn't carry into your next Call of Duty or into the next Call of Duty or more. It's very, very cash grab. It's very anti-consumer, and but they're going to keep selling people the formula because people keep buying it. As soon as that changes, they'll adapt, and I think Call of Duty would be a better product if it was more that Call of Duty, like you mentioned, not Call of Duty, but
Assassin's Creed.
I think it was Counter-Strike. CS:GO
Oh yeah.
It's like when you start driving into like, why are people still playing that game? Yeah, because it still exists. It still gets support. They haven't had to release a sequel or a one that's annualized every year. And it's only the fact that people will spend that 60 to 120. I mean, we had one guy was like, you guys didn't get the $130 version of the Call of Duty? No, it's pointless. Like the new maps they add suck. It's like it's kind of like you're getting punished.
And
twice.
you have to pay for them too.
And, and it's like we don't want to pay for them because we don't want to get matched on them, And we played Black Ops 4 for a while, and then eventually just kind of like, okay, I think we're finally done with this franchise because there's no.
Modern Warfare looks good though. It really does.
Well, and that's the thing. They make
incredibly
fastest Call of Duty selling game this generation. So it's like
insane.
There's no reason to change because there's no reason to change, and despite the fact that it can be anti-consumer, in my opinion, they're never.
And every time they've changed too, it's had like repercussions. Like, okay, I honestly don't know why COD Ghost did so bad. It didn't really change anything. But as soon as they changed from that to like Advanced Warfare, sales dropped. Then they go to Infinite Warfare, drop even more, and like. Now they're getting back to where they were before, and now their sales are picking back up. So there's literally no reason for it to be annualized or whatever, because Modern Warfare could literally have been an update for Modern Warfare 3 or something,
Yeah, it should be. That's like when you look at the games and a lot of the nostalgia and why people are playing these games for years. It's based off of that. People will bemoan like, "Oh no, games as a service." It's like there are bad games as a service, but then they forget about every other game out there that is just dominating because it is that. You invest into the ecosystem. Fortnite is making $2.5 billion a year, and it gets that sunk in cost. So even if somebody steps away to go play another game for a while, all it takes is like, hey, it's a new update, it's a new chapter, and then they can come back and they have all their stuff. So it's like, hey, this is great, as opposed to like, Overwatch 2 is doing it. We were out there and they're saying like Overwatch is not being cut off from 2. So you still get the maps, you still get the characters, you still like are part of the ecosystem. Everything that you've earned in the game carries forward with you. So the ultimate reason why you would be buying 2 is that you get a graphical update and you get the story missions. And so if that is something that's appealing to you, buy 2. If it's not, play in the 1 thing. My theory though is that they're going to eventually take one and not add in cosmetics that you can earn, and they'll shift all that cosmetic earning into the sequel to move people, into it. But they're not separating those environments. Thus, Overwatch is a games as a service, especially because 2 is probably not coming out for another 2 or 3 years in and of itself.
Yeah.
So,
do you think? Wait, if I'm gonna ask you this, just because it came to mind.
Go for it, please.
Since you were at BlizzCon, do you think like the Blizzard brand and BlizzCon as a whole kind of suffered because of that whole China controversy?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was a
did?
cloud hanging over it. Go ahead, Chris.
I figured.
They had a rough year in general, but at the event, everybody was still largely positive. There were people protesting and all that, but
Yeah.
the event was a lot more positive than what the headlines read and what the people who didn't go put out content saying.
Okay.
It really was. Everybody was polite. Everybody was reasonable. There wasn't lots of chanting and shouting outside of people who were excited for the way that a tournament game was going. That was the only time you'd hear a loud cheer, was when there was a kill in WoW Arena or in StarCraft 2. You could hear that it was all joy. It's gamers being gamers. Like, there's still people cosplaying. There's still people that are excited to see old friends or new friends or somebody that they've played with for years in a guild that they've never met in person. And so, like, honestly, it would be hard for Blizzard to damage BlizzCon, because BlizzCon isn't just about Blizzard. It's about
it's about the community,
meeting up with people that you know through Blizzard games.
What was beautiful
I
about it?
I don't think it was negative at all.
What was beautiful about it, though, is that people can be excited about the games and the community, and also frustrated with what the company's done. And you saw that in Force, where there were plenty of people who were like, "Oh man, Diablo 4, that was fun," or "I'm enjoying this." And they're also wearing their free Hong Kong T-shirt, and they're, it's like we're communicating this as a community that we felt this was unacceptable. And obviously, the president got up, he made his apology before showing us anything. I think that was the right move, as opposed to saying like, "Oh, Diablo 4 and this all this great stuff. Oh, by the way, we're sorry." Like, okay, like, now that you've distracted me, with nostalgia and drugs and excitement, then it's like, now you're no, like, they did that first. I didn't think he had to do that personally, but I'm glad he did. Now, he put out basically a challenge to himself, and that basically said it's about actions. It's about what we do going forward. And so that's something that people can measure him on, and whether that is good or bad, and anything like that. And we talked about that last week, guys, in the podcast pretty heavily. So be sure to check out that previous podcast plug. So, what games are you excited about for 2020?
Final Fantasy, the remaster.
Yeah.
Final Fantasy VII. Dude, I played it at E3. It's so good.
So, talk to me about that. Feed me.
Dude. So, wait, did you go to E3 at all by any chance?
We tried, couldn't
it.
afford it, so we watched
Yeah,
it.
it's kind of pricey, to be honest. But so for all the demos, like Borderlands 3 was huge, right? It was the biggest thing at E3 this year. And all the demos was just like, you stand in line, you wait, you play the game. Final Fantasy VII demo, you have to get a ticket for like a train station that was like set up like a fake train station, obviously. If you wait in line for like 2 hours, there's only like 25, 30 people allowed in at a time. They like take you in for this little show, and they like give you the backstory for people who haven't really played the game. Then they don't let you use your cell phones. You can't take any pictures. You can't take any videos. You go into this dark room, and there's like all these like things set up. It's like super well themed, and then you get to play it. And it was amazing. I was never big into the previous Final Fantasy games, but I'm definitely getting this one. I don't even know how to describe it.
Did you play 15
obviously,
at all?
No.
So I heard people who played 15 and then went and played the remaster, and they're like, I wish the 7 battle system and all that was in 15. Like, they said that it's so good.
It's so good.
Yeah, and I was like,
it's amazing.
Oh. I don't have a PlayStation right now, so I hope that it's coming to PC or something like that.
Yeah.
But I'm waiting, because if they say like, yep, if they don't make the PC announcement.
PS4 is killing it with the exclusives.
Oh, yeah.
This is why I don't have an Xbox.
I'm just debating, though, to wait just for PS5, because they said PS5 is totally back compat.
Yeah, isn't it coming out in 2020?
Yeah, and I'm like,
there's no point.
Yeah, I'm going to wait, and then if nothing else.
Because the PS4 died, and it's like, why buy another one when a year
when I'm
out?
6 months away from 5, and then I can just get the remastered.
And it has way better specs. I'm pretty sure it's like 60 FPS all the time, 4K gaming.
By the way,
120.
120. Same thing with Scarlet. Like, they're saying, like, this is what we're going to put in. Now, whether the developer is able to take advantage of it, because maybe their engine is junk, and then it can't do it, I think they're saying, don't do it and you got to hit 60 min. but you can do 120. I think even 144. Like, it's something absurd.
Yeah.
Because
But
Destiny 2 doesn't take advantage of the Xbox One X.
Oh,
Really?
it sucks, dude. Like, it's, you go play on PC and you're like, oh, I'm uncapped frame rate, 90, 140, and then you go on the console and you're like 30 frames a second. You notice.
you definitely notice, and it's not something you notice unless you actually like play PC. Like
Yeah.
if you only have played console, you're gonna be like, oh, this feels normal. But one more game.
Please,
two
go.
more games I'm excited for. I'm excited for Cyberpunk, but I think everybody's excited for Cyberpunk.
Yeah.
The
The
by CD
pedigree
Projekt
there
Red.
is like, even if,
Yeah.
you know, it's like, I don't even want to know about that game, you know, so it's like, I'm just like, oh, Keanu's in it. All right, shut up. Like, I don't want to know. The pedigree of
Yeah.
the studio, I think, speaks for itself. But continue.
Yeah, CD Projekt Red is honestly top notch. But that, and then I'm also excited for Session, the new skate game. It's like a little bit of hype for that one. And then there's one more. The Last of Us 2. Is that this year or is that 2020?
They pushed it back, so it's 2020, but they delayed it more, which I actually really appreciate Sony and their willingness to do that as a publishing studio with those kind of games. They give them the time. Like with God of War, I think it was delayed. They give it the time, and I really appreciate that, because it always is like, it's always a bummer when you're like, man, you know, if you just gave them 2 more months, like, you know, you could have just launched with this just pristine product. And I think the hype behind Last of Us, it's gonna sell just fine.
And Naughty Dog is another one that's top notch. Like Naughty Dog very rarely fails to deliver.
I don't remember the last time they failed to deliver, personally.
I don't think they
it's
have
like,
ever.
Like, you know, I'm sure that they've maybe canceled a project they never announced because it just wasn't coming together. But no, man, like these guys are at the top of their game. Chris, you excited for anything for 2020?
I mean, obviously we just got back from BlizzCon, so I would love to know what is going to make it into 2020, because a lot of what they showed us very well might be 2021 or later. And then I'm actually excited for Shadowlands. It'll be a year off for Final Fantasy largely, for 14. Are we getting the Scarlet in 2020?
Yeah, Scarlet PS5.
Halo Infinite is probably my
Infinite.
biggest non-MMO
Dude, I hope it's
title
on
that
PC.
I'll play the crap out of.
If Microsoft's true to their word, it will be with Play Anywhere.
Then why?
crossplay,
See, but the
so.
thing is, then why would anybody buy the Scarlet?
That Microsoft, because the next PC is an Xbox. Microsoft categorizes all PCs basically as Xbox. It's not about selling consoles anymore. It's not like exclusivity. Like we're on the verge of it ending.
I don't know though. Sony's still popping off with exclusivity because they have. Let's think about this: Spider-Man, Last of Us, God of War, Final Fantasy XIV. There's a big one that was recently. Like even little things like MLB The Show, only PS4.
Microsoft looks at it as a whole ecosystem. So it's whether you own an Xbox or a PC, like here are the games. And honestly, I would be fine if Xbox was like, we're going to keep publishing games for PlayStation as long as they support crossplay and, you know, cross save. Like if you could sit here and say it's about playing where your friends are or playing with your friends, and then it just becomes a competition from a heart. Like right now, the exclusivity game is anti-consumer in a way, because they can try to lock you into an ecosystem, and then you don't have the choice of what you want to sub to, as opposed to like if you're like, well, Microsoft has the best price on hardware, or maybe Sony, you're good, or maybe Sony has the best price on its services, and so you're like, what makes sense for me as a gamer? I still think we're 10, 15 years out before the general idea. There's still fanboys who are like, no, like I don't want PlayStation games on Xbox. I was like, I'm telling you, like when you look at where the technology is going, with 15 years in cloud investment, internet infrastructure.
Stadia, bro.
Stadia is interesting. I got to go hands on with that out in California, and
really?
Yeah, it's legit. Like it's all about, you know, Stadia's got its own problems, and that's Google trying to figure out and answer those questions. But when it goes to divorcing people away from like hardware, which it's holding gaming back. At this point, because no one's going to go buy a $600 or $700 or an $800 console. They just can't sell it that way. But PCs in cloud is just taking off dramatically. Still, 10, 15 years, like it's going to have to be a mindset shift and an internet infrastructure shift, but it's going to change the game. Especially for MMOs, especially for like Minecraft. Imagine being in a Minecraft world with 1,000 people or 10,000 people or 100,000 people. Like all
Well,
in the
dude,
world.
the top Minecraft server has 90,000 slots.
Wow, that's incredible.
Dude, their company is worth, I think, hold on. According to online, which
Yeah.
is always accurate, the biggest server is called Hypixel. They have 90,000 slots, and according to Google, the value of their server and website together is $45 million.
Holy smokes!
I mean, they're
I
making
need
their
to
own
play
game now.
Minecraft.
They're making a game called Hytale,
Yeah.
which is like a standalone game, which is basically a mix of current Minecraft and Minecraft Dungeons combined with like insane modding capabilities.
Mhm.
And dude, their trailer for that, how many views is it at now? Their trailer's at 52 million views. For a comparison, okay, one of the most discussed games of like this generation is Death Stranding.
Yeah.
Their trailer is at 5.7 million views.
Wow.
It's insane. It's actually insane.
Wow. I guess we're a Minecraft channel now, Chris. Be ready. With that though, like we were actually at time. We tried to keep this at an hour just because I feel like that's the perfect podcast length personally. Tanner, do you have any final thoughts, any hopes, concerns, anything we talked about, as well as you've kind of teased a couple things you're working on.
Okay. I'll reveal some more information.
Oh yeah.
I'm working on a video about Ace of Spades right now. I don't if anybody watching this has ever played it. It's a great game. It's an interesting story too. So I'm working on that. I'm working on a video about a game called Starforge, which was. Have you heard of Starforge? Stay tuned for more information.
Gosh, like you're gonna be my news source for a while.
Yeah. I mean, I'm working on a couple of things, trying to get back into upload schedule. Finally have some free time, so that's good. But that's pretty much it.
Where can people find you?
They can find me on YouTube at RoboKast, RoboKast. On Instagram, I'm kind of new on Instagram, but it's same thing at RoboKast. Twitter at RoboKast, and that's pretty much it.
Chris, what you got? What you working on? Where can people find us?
Just diving into more MMOs. I'm trying to make time for 14 again. 5.1's got me excited about some of the systems that I definitely want to be in, especially with the launch of 5.11, 5.15, and 5.2. Those are really gonna like blow crafting and gathering out of the water. So I'd like to be totally caught up there. And yeah, we got some big videos coming out, so they'll be right here.
Yeah. You're here in the right spot if you're watching this live or you're checking it out on YouTube. Again, guys, for the channel, for the podcast, last week we had Kaylee from Blizzard. Fantastic individual, fantastic conversation. We're going to get her back because I think that there was a lot of cool questions talking about microtransactions, subscription models, especially from the inside. Like, what are these business decisions? Like, what are these conversations? So she, former Blizzard employee, and now I think she said she's not going to be going back into gaming. I think she said she's done. And I can respect it. I think there's a passion that usually offsets the pay. You know, it's like people speak of their time in game development rather fondly. It's a lot of hard work, but ultimately you're like, oh, like someone's going to pay me twice as much and I can go home at night and have a life, you know? Let me think about that one for a while. And so anyway, check out that podcast. That's live now. Really great conversation, and we're going to do that again in the future. Next week, we have Chili, going to be talking about more Final Fantasy. It's going to be a Final Fantasy focused podcast. And it's we're going to be talking about 5.1. By that time, the new, the kind of the final part of the starting patch, because they delayed a couple of things from the rebuilding of Ishgard and the Ultimate Fight, which will put Final Fantasy at the top of Twitch. That's what the prediction is, because that's what they've done in the past. Usually huge turnout for those pieces of content, and that's why I've kind of started working on my big data project, which will be fun. And that is what we got coming up. That's what we're working on. And so we're going to conclude this epic podcast with RoboKast our normal way. For Work to Game, my name is Brian.
My name's Chris.
Am I supposed to say my name?
Yeah, if you want.
My name is Tanner.
There it is. Sweet.
We never warn him.
We never. It's at some point, like, there's just gonna be.
Brother said it's his favorite part of the podcast.
It is, and at the same time, I'm waiting for, like, if we ever like get as big as Tanner, if we ever get like outside of kind of our our great community, that if somebody just goes and clips just those highlights of like, hey, here's people on the channel and just like how they respond to it, because it's the thing that gives me the most joy about doing the show. Like, it's an hour just probably for this one little bit.
It's my real motivation behind
my
it.
whole is like, hey guys, how can I like do something silly? Anyway, guys, thanks for tuning into the podcast. You can check it out on Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, wherever podcasts are found. Be sure, if you're listening to the audio version, leave us a like or a review or something of that nature. Helps, I guess, us out from an audio perspective. But with that, we're going to conclude, and thanks everybody for tuning in live and also here on YouTube. Leave us a comment, let us know what you think, and we'll see you next time. Take care.